We are now live. I'm going to let some people into the Zoom call. We've got a bunch of people on the call. Thank you, everybody, and welcome to the very first session of a series of exclusive, what should we call it, chats, workshops, thought leadership. Have a drink with Alison and Francis, myself. And we really wanted to just get together, join forces for a short, sharp series of conversations about putting solid foundation into your business to create a platform that enables you to, as Alison would say it, evolve and grow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I didn't pre-prepare.
Yeah, we didn't, did we? No. Completely natural.
So number one, today we're going to talk about marketing, the foundation of marketing and what it looks like, because what we see in the industry is that not every, it's changing all the time. What worked last year doesn't necessarily work this year and moving forward. But before I get into the content, Alison, I want to thank you for the opportunity to chat with you and talk with you. And do you want to just tell anybody who might see this content and who doesn't know you, who are you? Who's Alison?
Wow, that's a deep question. Who's Alison? Yeah, I often think that. Well, thank you, first of all, Francis.
Sure.
We've been talking a few weeks now, haven't we? Since being introduced by a mutual colleague. So yeah, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Alison Warner. I have a company called Evolve and Grow, and we specialize in helping construction and trade businesses effectively evolve and grow. That's our line of business, and we've been doing that specializing in that as a niche for around 6 years. So typically the sort of problems that clients come to us for are things around the numbers. So people are working very hard, but don't feel that they've got much to show for it. Another one is around the people. And then the third one, we tend to work with pretty ambitious people who want to grow, and they just want to have somebody hold their hand, I guess, and support them through that phase. So those are the kind of three things that we specialize in.
Cool. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Francis. I'm the founder and CEO and marketeer of Lead Hero. I come from a seasoned career of 20 plus years. I say that humbly because I feel young, but I'm sort of getting on with it. I've been around, and I've generated many millions through advanced marketing technologies and strategies for corporate big global brands at the BBC and AOL, Virgin, PlayStation, Sony. And I set up Lead Hero a couple of years ago because I wanted to make a difference working with smaller businesses. I wanted to bring some of that thinking and that tech, that know-how to the industry because we fundamentally believe that, family businesses should have the same chance to succeed and grow as larger businesses with deeper pockets, but sometimes they just don't know what to do or how to do it or who to do it with, right? And so we have some tech, our managed marketing automation platform that we install in businesses, and we also run campaigns and do custom solutions and essentially advise as well. And we love helping out. We do a lot of free content, collaborations, as you can see with Alison and Wayne Bettis, and we just want to help out where we can. So let's get into the content. So this is not going to be a long webinar or anything like that. It should just be like 20 minutes blast. So not take a long time out of your day. I'm going to share my screen with you, and Alison, feel free to interrupt when you want, because this is really part of this session. And the cool thing about it is not just for me to give my perspective from a marketing point of view, but from your perspective from 15 years working with trades businesses, and what you see day to day in the business. So let me see just first of all who is on the line, and just want to make sure that everybody can hear me. If you can hear me okay, just put a 1 in the chat. My audio is coming there. Everyone, yeah, you can wave, yeah, or 1, okay, so people can hear me, great. And also, if you have any questions, those of you on the Zoom call, I'm not actually, it'll be hard to check the Facebook group, but on the Zoom call, if you have any questions, what's your biggest challenge or need clarification or anything like that, just shoot it in the chat, and we'll get to it.
Yeah,
right.
I think that's all I was going to say, Francis. Yeah, if you've got any questions, perhaps just make a note of them as we're going through the content. And then we'll do our best to see if they're if they're in the Facebook group or on the Zoom. I can easily see on Zoom. And I would just say as an introduction, actually, to add to what Francis has shared, I think our partnership works particularly well because Francis is really on the front end, and so this is a series of webinars, as he said. Certainly the first few will be around lead generation and how to make the most of your marketing. But as we all know, and this is kind of what we'll get into in a bit more detail this evening, is in order to make the most of any investment you're making in marketing, you need to have your operation right. And that's, I guess, where, I'm the operator, really. That's where I come in, and Francis is the marketeer. So if you get both of those things right, then, happy days.
Yeah. And for any of you out there who's thinking, well, actually, I'm more interested in the operational side of thing, or running my business, growing my business, it's coming in the content. So we're kicking off, with marketing. We're going to talk about lead management and follow-up and automation next. And that's about like getting the pipeline in, getting those leads in. But inevitably, then you have to manage your team, recruit your team, manage your team, all those things. So Alison's going to really play a huge part in that, and I'm going to ask her questions because I don't necessarily know all of the answers there. So we thought it would be a really fun and cool way to just have a talk, an open conversation about what's going on right now in the industry. Okay, so without further ado, number 1 session, Trades Accelerator sessions. We're going to talk about the marketing system. And before we get into marketing system, I just like to calibrate everybody a little bit and I'm going to play this slide from the slideshow. So let's all get on the same page or know where we are. So when it comes to marketing for trades businesses, and different agencies can have a different point of view. When it comes to us, we believe that there's essential 3 really critical outcomes that marketing aims to produce. Okay, 3 marketing outcomes. Number 1 is predictable sales. Like, your marketing should ultimately put you in a place where you don't have to question where your business is coming from. That's the ultimate goal, where you know your numbers, your cost per lead, your sources, what channels are working best for you. That is the grand prize of marketing in your business. More time, using technology to leverage your time so you're not doing everything yourself, using technology to automate and actually make your life easier, not harder as well, because we believe that these days in 2021, technology and marketing are completely intertwined together. And that's why the marketing agencies of now and the future have to have a handle on their technology to make things faster, more competitive, to beat your competitors, and to enable speed to market, speed to lead as well, which we'll talk about in the next module. And greater control. How many of you know your cost per lead right now for every service, your cost per acquisition? Because referrals or organic marketing will get you to a point But if you're looking to grow sustainably, you need to be investing in your marketing. Okay, you need to invest to acquire customers consistently. And so marketing doesn't become this big scary thing that is sometimes difficult to grasp. It actually becomes a part of your budget. And just to give you an example, a 10% marketing budget of your revenue is absolutely normal, if not 20%. So if you're earning 100K, spend 10K on your marketing. If you're on 250K a year revenue, you should be spending at least 25,000. Okay, and that's a good figure. If you're not spending, you're not growing. That because your competitors are spending, and greater control is absolutely essential when it comes to making sure that you get an ROI and you're not just throwing your money down the, in the black hole of the abyss that it does happen. So when it comes to the businesses we work with, we normally see them in like 4 different scenarios, okay, or zones, so to speak. The red zone, where their sales are scattergunned at best, all over the place. They're completely overstretched from morning to night. They don't have time to work on the business. They're working in the business. And their control is also at best chaotic, no control, completely random. And this is actually a really exhausting place to be. And because business owners can be stuck behind a fear and ignorance line, like fear of investing, fear of making the wrong choices, but that's also fueled by an ignorance. And it's not a negative ignorance, but you don't know what you don't know. And essentially that can hinder growth. And the thing is that there's a lot of inaction that takes place. So you end up not doing anything, or you end up going round in circles instead of getting on a clear trajectory and making the right choices. And there are certain myths that businesses believe. First of all, that referrals and word of mouth is enough. And I've built my business on referrals, so therefore that's absolutely fine. I don't need to invest in marketing. Or online marketing is confusing and it's expensive, so it's just safer not to take any action at all. Okay, and when people start to realize the truth that actually to break through the fear and ignorance line, to scale your business profitably, you need to leverage technology and leverage online marketing channels. Because digital channels are not going away. Google My Business has very ambitious plans to replace your website. And if your local SEO isn't up to par, you're going to miss that opportunity. And the guy next door, your competitor next door, who has been thinking about these things, is going to basically take your customers, right? So just because you might be successful now doesn't mean you're going to stay that way. The second zone is really this zone amber. So where your sales are hopeful and inconsistent. So you're just hoping things will work out. You're always busy day to day, and your control and your systems, they're manual and slow. And what you're doing is you actually start to follow other people, and you can see some of what your competitors are doing in terms of their websites, how they're starting to stand out, where they're investing, what products they're selling, how they're operating in the world. So you're watching and observing and you're following. And the thing is, to get to that next level, you can actually turn that inaction into focus, and you really start to compete. Then that's the light green zone. You are now a competitor. You're giving other businesses a run for their money. Your sales are blissfully content. Okay, I say blissfully because there's still more to do, but things are good. You're cautious and steady, and you're starting to dabble in systems, technology, and processes. Okay, maybe you've got your job management platform set up. You're on your Xero, your accounting system. you're actually, starting to leverage teams. Okay, and so you're in a good place. And the thing is, your business is starting to gain that consistent momentum. The thing is, there's a good enough line as well. And a lot of businesses we see that are quote unquote successful, what does that mean, right? Successful is all relative. They get stuck between this good enough line because they believe that that's the end. They've achieved the ultimate goal of being good enough. And the reality is that in today's world, okay is not good enough, because we live in the most rapidly changing technologically advanced culture and marketplace the world has ever known. Okay. And as soon as you let your guard down, your future is unpredictable. Like if Steve Jobs and Apple, when they created the iPhone, said, it's okay, we created the iPhone, now we're good, they wouldn't be in business now today, because they have to constantly innovate. And they're Apple, and you guys are trades businesses, but the rules are the same. Even for us, we have to stay on our toes and constantly change every single day. And meaning. And the truth is that complacency traps you. Okay. And so we like to, we think that there is a winning zone, and the winning zone is about, when it comes to marketing, is automated and scalable. It gives you total autonomy and a complete clarity over your ROI, all of your acquisition channels, your sources. So, down to the pound, what your what your investment will bring. And this is at a point where you're able to really make a lot of progress by leveraging systems, leveraging tech. So I would love everyone on the call to have a think about where you are in your business, and maybe type into the chat or in Facebook, are you in the red, amber, light green, or green zone right now? If you're in the dark green zone, kudos to you. I think, amazing.
And just while you're thinking on that, for everyone that we've got on the call, it's just interesting as you're going through that, Francis, and obviously I've seen this before, but sometimes you see things a second time and new things come to mind, don't they? And I just thought it might be worth me sharing some insights. So, I mean, I was kind of, my brain was naturally going to the exhausting level. And certainly we've worked with several clients and continue to do so that come to us because they're in that place. And I was thinking, okay, what is it that stops them from going up to that next level? And you might, have some insights into that. Certainly from my perspective, I think it's around the financial literacy. So in order to step up and say, take on extra resource or free up your time to work on it, that's a cost to the business. And some people are too frightened to perhaps take that step because they think, well, I'm not making enough money anyway, so how can I possibly devote extra time and resource to doing that? And it comes back to, I think, knowing your numbers. It's interesting what you shared about the budget. Certainly one of my mentors said, yeah, that's one of the key reasons why small businesses don't grow, is that they don't invest enough in their marketing. And obviously that's not just it, but it's a big one. It's this knowing your numbers and knowing what is a realistic next step to take, and what's that going to cost me, but also what can that potentially generate. And I think having the visibility of the numbers and understanding them can unlock that next step for a lot of people. Another thing I wrote down is, if you're wanting to sell your business one day, it's so dangerous to have it completely reliant on referrals and word of mouth, as I'm sure we all know. A business only becomes really a saleable entity if you're able to show how it's able to operate without you. I'm not going to buy a business that's completely dependent on you. I would need to see, well, what marketing channels do you have? What works? What doesn't? Are you tracking it? All of that stuff adds value to a business. And then finally, my other insight was, again, it was something a different mentor taught me many years ago, this whole thing of you need to be looking further down the road, and arguably even more so now, as you say, the speed at which things are developing. You need to see what's coming around the corner so that you can react and adapt to it. It's the survival of the most adaptable, isn't it? Not just the fittest. And if you can see what's coming in at 5G, that's going to be massive for all industries, I think. And just being aware of these things and you know, not being closed to it, being open to, okay, what might I need to think about in my business to develop and move up that triangle.
Absolutely. And it makes me think of, you know, a lot of the plumbing and heating businesses, for example, that I speak to, you know, some of them, well, you know, a good amount of them struggle to close PPC cold leads, for example. You know, and it's something fairly new, right? And the thing is that the flip side of that is there are businesses who are very good at it. And so what's the difference between a business that can really grow doing PPC and sort of gets a handle on how to nurture that cold lead all the way through to sale and beyond, and the business that struggles with it? Well, actually, there's knowledge. Yeah, there's a knowledge gap.
That's right.
It's really knowledge. It's a knowledge gap. It's like, what do you need to learn in your marketing, in your business growth, in life and everything? Because obviously they know something you don't know.
Yeah. That's
and
right.
You can learn that yourself, or you can pay for it.
Yeah, you can learn the hard way, or hopefully skip some of those mistakes and not make them, you know, learn from others who perhaps have learned them and are willing to share. And
most likely a combination of the both. So I'm going to move on, conscious of time. That's thank you for the conversation. And to move on here, I just wanted to show, you know, we're talking about marketing here, and what is marketing? So imagine you're looking at an iceberg, the top of the iceberg, and this is the water line. And there's a part of the iceberg that you can see sticking out of the water. Okay, and imagine that part that you can see is a conversation about leads. Now, people talk about leads a lot, and I need leads, and I need marketing. And this could be SEO. It could be a website. Okay. The problem with talking about these tactical elements, and they're just components, right, is that really it's about 10% of what true marketing really is. Okay. And, you know, what we do as a business in terms of helping you achieve those outcomes, 10%. And the thing is that the true majesty of the iceberg of the entity, or say your business, lies at the bottom. And it's really everything that's going on down here. It's the core. And the thing is that no matter where the wind blows, on the top of the iceberg, the direction of the base is always going to flow in that way. Okay, that's the foundation, the real, it's the substance, so to speak. Okay, and that's the conversation that we prefer to have. We find talking about leads a bit superficial, to be honest. And therefore, below the iceberg, there's a conversation about, well, what is marketing going to achieve? Predictable sales, you know, more autonomy and time, and greater control of your business. Now, marketing, you know, there can be different outcomes for different industries, but, you know, this is something like unique that we've really thought about a lot, that helps our trade businesses clients sort of understand what to focus on. And it's not, very, very rarely is it a problem about leads. Okay. And even when you fix the lead flow problem, there's a plethora of other challenges then, like quoting, the sales process, lead management, staff, fulfillment, customer service, safety, all of that. So we don't really get into that as a business, but we know about it because, you know, you can get leads, but it's not really, it's far from everything. So, and as we go deeper and deeper into the water, we find that at the base of the iceberg, there's something more profound. You know, it's like the predictable sales, more time and control are not the most important thing. It's achieving the ultimate desire of power and freedom in your business. And I don't mean power to dominate the world like Dr. Evil, but power meaning the capacity to create a desired outcome in your life and business, and the freedom that allows you as an individual to not be a slave to your business, but also to you know, to live a great life the way you want and grow the business you want. So, you know, we have a proprietary system of components that we do to enable that.
Before you get into that, Francis, perhaps we can just go back to that slide. What percentage just gut instinct of prospective clients coming to you for your services feel that it is a lead problem and it's a marketing problem, and then that will fix it, you know? And then when you start talking to them, you realize actually there's all those other things that you've mentioned. I mean, the two things I wrote down were the ability to convert, so their sales skills is a huge one, and build relationships with the customers, but also, as we've talked about many times before, recruitment. And that's a huge challenge in the industry, isn't it? If you are unable to attract talent and develop it, then that's going to be a massive inhibitor, and marketing's clearly not going to fix that for you. But what kind of percentage would you say feel that it is marketing that they need when actually it's not?
It's quite high. I think it's quite high. And the thing is, well, there's a difference between marketing and lead generation, for example. And that's a really important, I'm not sure if everyone understands the distinction, but, you know, lead generation and marketing for sales is different from marketing your business and getting people to know about you, awareness, for example.
Yeah.
You know, or just top of mind, being out there consistently. Or like advertising on TV, when you see all of these car commercials, most people are not in the market for a new car right now. So you're really just staying in awareness mode, and you're picking up that small percentage, 3% of the market that's ready to buy. So the thing is, lead generation, is about just getting you volume for maybe a specific type of product or service. But we tend to, you know, we're a different kind of agency in the sense that usually we don't work with people who just want leads, because truly it doesn't make us stand out, or it doesn't play to our strengths, because you can buy leads, or there's lots of agencies that will run leads for you, but actually we like to work down here in the business. And this is why we work very closely with coaches like yourself, Alison, Wayne Bettis from Off the Tools, because we realize that there's so much more than lead generation, and we want to help businesses grow. See, lead generators don't help you grow, they get you leads.
Yes.
Right, so that's the distinction that we kind of make here. But I'm not dissing lead generators, because they solve a certain type of problem for a certain type of business at a certain type of level.
Yeah, of course.
Right, and it's really just about where are you, and, you know, hopefully we try to help businesses understand what they need right now, and direct them in the right place as well. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes absolute sense.
Okay, so we're sort of getting to, the content now, the meat, but I just wanted to set the scene a little bit. So now we have a bit of background, everybody, to talk about a marketing system, right? And the system, what's a system? Ecosystem, solar system. A system, I love that word. The system is like a variety of components all working together to create a certain outcome. And that's why I love looking at marketing as a marketing system, because we really don't believe that one component is the be all and end all of everything you should be doing. So in terms of your marketing system, I'm not going to stay too long because each of these could be a webinar or a masterclass on their own. But to help you guys think about the components of what you want to put in place in 2021. Okay. And we want to help trades businesses not just do average marketing, but dominate. Meaning you're leading the way. Okay. You want to have a great website that builds trust, authority, credibility. Okay. Authenticity. Authenticity is like the #1 selling point, because people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And if they can see people and authenticity around the business, you're no longer a faceless business. You're actually, there's humanity there, and humanity and people will never be obsolete. And so having a website that builds trust, reflects authenticity, but is also built for conversion. I see so many, 9 out of 10 websites I see are not built for conversion. They've either got too many pages, they're scatterbrained, you don't really know, you don't trust it, they're a bit confusing. Stock photography. If you have stock photography on your website, can you type a 1 in the chat? If you're using stock photography, yeah. If you can take away one thing from this conversation, is tomorrow, find a photographer or use your iPhone, take some nice pictures of yourself and your family and your vans and your business or whatever, and use those instead. As stock photography, you've seen them everywhere. It looks cheap. And I don't want anyone here on this call to be marketing a cheap business, because you deserve more. So take off your stock photography, invest in a photographer, line up your vans and your staff and your uniforms, and just show people your true colors. So a website that builds trust. And then a content platform. So how are you going to get people there? It's going to be through content and through helping people. You want to help people make a buying decision. How do you choose the best boiler service provider? How do you choose the best boiler? What to do with the breakdown, right? You can be a source of knowledge. You can write it yourself, or you can pay someone to write articles for you. But this is how you attract your ideal clients and tell your story.
And to chip in there, sorry, Francis,
yeah.
I don't know if you've I think actually we have spoken about it, haven't we? The book, They Ask, You Answer. That's a great book by Marcus Sheridan, all around that. I won't go into the whole history of it, but it was a swimming pool business in the States, and he built something on their website called the Learning Hub, and all of the articles, the videos, they were all entitled with the questions that their customers were asking on a regular basis. And it took them from a business that was in deficit during the last financial crisis into a business that flourished, so much so that he now no longer works for them. He set up a separate sales training company or marketing. based around that methodology. So
Yeah.
anyone that wants to have some help on building out the right sort of content, that's a great book to read.
Cool. Thanks, Alison. Maybe you can post it on the Facebook group, post a link to it on the
I will
Facebook
do. I'll
group
do
as
that
well.
later. Yes. Yeah.
So content, search engine optimization, it's still relevant. It's really important. Why? Is because Google's changing it all the time. And actually, the techniques of yesteryear don't work anymore. Remember, there was a time where people were creating a lot of different pages, hidden pages on their site with locations. So electrician, Manchester, electrician, Bolton, electrician, wherever. You know what? They're using duplicate content. It doesn't work anymore. It's not a good strategy. And agencies that tell you to create 20, 30, 40, 50 different pages with locations and the same content on it for SEO, they don't know what they're talking about, because SEO, Google will penalize you for duplicate content. Because Google is now, over time, they're changing their algorithm to you can't get away from providing value. Google is going to show your site when you provide the most value to your customers. And that's what you're paying for when you invest in marketing. Content, ideas, being helpful, being there for your community. That is the marketing challenge in 2021. It's not hacking the system. It's not technology, because the Google's getting smarter and smarter and smarter, and it wants to show the most relevant, useful, and fastest experiences and services that it can. That's how it works, and that's the marketing challenge of today. Okay, social media engagement, also for a lot of reasons, not just for SEO, but for top of mind. The big national brands, some of it do, Boxed, iHeat, they do this. Well, local businesses can do it as well. You're building your identity, you're building your authority, you're in the places where your customers are on a day-to-day basis. All of this doesn't mean anything unless you have a great reputation. You should be building your Google reviews and your Facebook reviews. Yes, there are other platforms which are okay as well, like reviews.io, Trustpilot-ish. The thing is that, again, the problem is that Google wants you to focus on Google. And so Google has a total monopoly over search and ranking, but also know that there are ways that you can optimize your reviews as well, to use your review responses to, first of all, you should be responding to everybody, but you should have descriptive responses that talk about your services and your brand in your reviews as well. And I have a video on our website, leadhero.ai, on the blog. There's a video all about how to respond to reviews and how to SEO them. Email marketing allows you to nurture the people that are not ready to buy from you today. Because remember, you're in business for forever. Your customers will come when they're ready to buy, when they're in the right stage in the buying cycle, and you want to be there when they're ready to buy. That's what marketing is. So if you're only selling to the 3% of people who are in market to buy from you now, you're missing a huge market out there. So email marketing, the newsletter, check-ins, follow up. Hey, I know that you didn't buy from us last month. What is it that we can do? The relationship. This is just part and parcel of a cutting edge effective marketing system. And finally, we do have PPC, not for everybody, but for businesses where there is intent and volume, where there's a constant need for the service, It shouldn't be everything you do, but it is a channel. It's expensive to invest in it, but when you have higher ticket products like boiler installations, 2,000, 3,000 pound per job, you will get an ROI. If you do it right, you can triple 4x, even 5x your investment there. But you need to really dial in your sales process. You need to be good at closing cold leads, which is a completely different ball game from dealing with people that know you, referrals. And so this in itself is really what we want to teach. We hope that people can look at this and go, you know what, marketing is a holistic. It's not just my website. It's not just having good reviews, because that's the short-term thinking. It's really about building a brand, building a business for the long term, and putting the foundation in place where, like if you're investing in the stock market, you don't just choose one stock and hope on that. You diversify your portfolio across maybe a nice index fund, and you constantly put in on a regular basis. And that's what you're doing. Your marketing is an investment. So that's really, I could spend a lot of time going into each of these. Alison, did you want to maybe ask anything or contribute or comment?
Yeah, I've certainly got a question. I think before I ask that, for everybody that's on the call this evening, if you've got any questions on any of what Francis has shared with us there, if you can pop it in the chat box, that would be great, and we will come back to answering them. I suppose what was going through my mind, in your experience of working with trade businesses, Francis, which of those 7 elements do you see being done, I'm trying to put it in the right language, underinvested in or not done as well? Which is the biggest offender?
Such a great question. That is a really, really great
this was not rehearsed either. I mean,
yeah.
I promise that has literally, I was thinking, I wonder which one people get wrong the most.
To be honest, so there are very few businesses which are doing all of this well.
Yeah.
And you can see them dominating.
Mm.
Just type Google your niche, or Google your whatever it is you're selling, and see who's at the top.
Yes.
Okay, and have a look at what they do.
Yeah.
And there's a reason, right? And what I see is this. I see number one is very, very few businesses really take their website seriously. You have, and I think that's also because there's unfortunately, what I see in the market is there's a lot of cheap, ineffective website design agencies or services, like we'll build your website for £50 a month. And that is actually not very safe or future proof, because they're not going to service you. They're not going to make changes. They're going to tie your domain in. So if you ever want to move your domain to a more scalable platform, it's going to cost you time, money, tears, sweat. A lot of businesses, I really hate this. They tie in local businesses to these stupid hosting contracts that they can't get out of. And the world is changing fast. So own your website, invest in your website, spend, 5 to 10 grand on a website, because you would put 5 to 10 grand in your business. And your website is where all of your leads are going to come in. It's what you can own. It's what essentially can build your whole platform around this. And your domain is a really important part of that. And so make sure that you're not just because you're looking at like the cheap solution, Squarespace or Wix and things like that. These, they might sound cheap and they might be okay for a certain point of time, but you want to make sure that you're actually future-proofing your business, and you actually have a website that brings you in sales.
So much of this is chicken and egg, isn't it? Because, I'm kind of thinking, yeah, I know so many businesses that just don't have the money. So you either go out and you get funding and you take that risk. But actually, all of it comes back to knowing your numbers, because if you're in control of your numbers, and another thing that we come across frequently is businesses not charging enough, and they're not quoting correctly at the get-go. And I mean, I've just literally started working with a new business that comes to mind, and they're not even making money at the gross profit level. And just hemorrhaging money. And it comes back to, it's no fault of the business owner really, because they haven't been trained in how to understand the numbers and read a profit and loss account. It's a bit like me going out to fit a boiler, heaven forbid, or build a house. I've never been shown how to do it. But it all links, doesn't it? Because it's all about, I'm sure if businesses are pricing correctly, they're profitable, they're controlling costs, they can start to build up working capital to invest in these things, to do it properly. It's all linked.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting to businesses that don't have the cash in the bank to go and spend their last savings on a website that is very expensive. What I'd like to do is just sort of say, look, these are the things that you should be thinking about. Invest in your website, invest in video, invest in photography. Why? Because people need to make a buying decision, and it's very competitive out there. And you want to stand out to the 99% of your competitors that are not investing, and they're not doing the right things, and they don't have marketing automation, and they don't have authority. So the thing is that investing in this could actually really help you to accelerate that growth and help people make that buying decision as well. So website, I mean, a lot of this is definitely but I wanted to also give an example. I have I know a business, he's not a client, but he's one person that he invested recently about 10 grand into his plumbing and heating business. It's one of the most beautiful trades business sites I've seen, and I'm not talking from a just aesthetic, but it looks slick. It reflects him in an amazing light. There's video, there's content. It's got call to action, phone number, data capture, lead magnet, all of these things. And he said that this site has paid for itself many, many, many times over now organically, without advertising. And that was his decision. He decided. He was not leading the way by any means, but he decided that he wanted to make a mark. And that was his way. He didn't want to go the PPC route, but he decided, I want to have something that just is absolutely stand out, that is no question you can compare it against our competitors, and it's a no-brainer, and he's reaping the rewards off it.
And I guess that's why it's number one on the circle, because that's kind of your starting foundation, isn't it? Everything leads from there. If you're investing in pay-per-click, you want to be sending them to a website that has a great user experience. Same with SEO, same with social media.
And speaking of user experience, that's another thing that Google rewards as well. So it knows all of this. Like Google knows, like when people visit your website and then come off your website, it knows. If they stay on and transact, then they think, oh, hold on a second, people are valuing this website. They're looking around, they're browsing, they're looking at the video. They've just left it knows all of this stuff. Google knows what you're wearing right now.
Just about, we have got one question here. It was asked by Nathan actually pretty early on in the call. It's kind of linked to what we've just been discussing, and it's, how do we start on a small scale with not much budget?
Oh, okay. Well, I think that I would say that it's not so much a marketing problem then. as in, you always start organically. Before you go into paid, you basically make sure that internally you have dialed in your business down very, very well. There's things that you can do. It's like, what do you need to learn? How can you educate yourself? Um, before I would invest thousands of pounds into marketing, I would invest them into myself through coaching
Interesting.
and learning. Because the thing is that what you want to do, this is a great segue into the next slide. And I'm going to start with number 3, actually, I'm going to go backwards just to answer Nathan's question. Marketing is an amplifier of what is and what isn't working in your business.
Absolutely true. It's a mirror, isn't it? And it'll amplify. So if you've got a problem there, for example, if you're not pricing correctly, it's just going to make that problem a whole lot worse.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because that statement, it reminds me of a client I worked with, oh my God, a couple of years ago. I just did a one-day workshop with them. It was a window company, and his accountant had said, right, what you need to do is you need to invest in driving the sales and marketing and getting more in. And there was so much wrong in this business. It was scary. The poor guy was absolutely stressed beyond belief. And it was the worst advice that he could have been given. Fortunately, he didn't follow it. He came to see me, but I said, it's almost like you've got to scale it back, take it back to basics, get the operation running well. Otherwise, you're effectively inviting lots more people in to have potentially a bad experience.
Yep. And I'll say it in a really crude way: shit in, shit out. Okay, that's my crudeness. I'm sorry, but that's the thing, is like, it's an amplifier. It's what you've got, you're just going to reach more people. And so in answer to Nathan's question, I would say that you need to prepare. The question is, how do I generate the revenue to then invest in marketing? Well, you generate the revenue by making sure you have a good business and foundation. You have a business plan.
Yes.
You have the systems in place, and you have solved some problems around service delivery, recruitment, and your team, right? So if you don't have the money to invest in marketing, invest in your coaching.
Yeah, that's good advice. So we've got another question in here. Hi, Sarah, and lovely to have you on the call. Sarah's a client of mine. I won't mention the website company, but she said we're just going for a big web page rebuild, and we'd like to attract more commercial work. How can we do this? ? And video ? Sarah, I'm going to give you my 2 pennies worth, and then I think it'd be really interesting for Francis to give his, because I've learned how to market through investing in mentoring and coaching for myself. My background, I'd never had to do it because I always worked for companies who had big marketing departments. And so it was definitely a development need for me when I went out on my own 11 years ago. My answer to that would be, I think it's regardless of who you're trying to attract and who you're marketing to, it's always about getting into their head and understanding what their problems are. I did this with a client this morning, actually, funnily enough. We realized by accident that's kind of what we were doing, whether we were trying to talk to potential new employees or potential customers. You've got to get into the head of that market and find out what are their problems. So do some research. And I remember doing this on a program a few years ago I was on. We were told you have to have a PhD in your customers' problems and list as many as you can think of. Even if you think you know them, it's quite an interesting exercise to do, because you'll start to see there's trends. That's how I came up with the 3 problems, the finance, the people, and the ambition, but not having anybody to support them in it.
Yeah.
Another one would be time management. So that would be my advice. Go and do some research, find out their 3 key problems, and then build your offering around solving those problems. And those problems might be different in a year's, 18 months time to what they are today. But you're the marketeer, Francis. This is your expertise. What would you say to that?
Well, I think that you nailed it, Alison. Ultimately, understand your customer avatar. Who are you speaking to? Find those people, take them out to lunch, ask them questions. Like if you already have some good client, if you already have some clients or customers, commercial clients, and you have rapport with them, try and build that relationship and ask them questions about their biggest challenges. What keeps you up at night? What do you truly desire? Okay. What are your top biggest 3 frustrations daily?
And it's probably linked in, to give a bit more context, sorry, I was a bit unfair. Sarah's business is, they're a plastering company. Okay. So it's probably, I'd be asking the question to that commercial customer, what are your biggest gripes when using the services of a plastering company? And I'm sure there will be loads just right away. And then you'll start to see there's patterns. You can start to group things together. You want to kind of get them into a 3. So 3 key issues. And then what makes you different? Pimlico Plumbers, Charlie Mullins, he did this intuitively when he started Pimlico Plumbers. All he did was he looked to see what hacked people off, domestic customers, when getting a plumber in their home. And he looked, it was no surprise, they either overcharged, they were unreliable, untidy, didn't do what they said they would do, and he just made sure Pimlico Plumbers, whether you love them or hate them, he built the brand around doing the opposite, just doing the basics well. And often it's about that. It's just doing the basics well that will make you stand out from your competition.
Yeah. Also, to add to that, I think that whereas your competitors are going to be talking about plastering, you will be talking about your customers' pain points. That's already standing out.
Absolutely.
Because, for example, if you determine that one of the key pain points is tidying up or having reliability, people that turn up on time, you're not going to talk about how great you are in plastering. You're going to talk about what makes you different, and that is reliability and professionalism and turning up on time. Do you want to work with a company that turns up on time and cleans up? That's us.
And actually, Sarah's very bright. She's got from memory, I think she's got a master's degree in economics. And I'm just thinking, Sarah, it'd be great for you to put a stat to that. So when you're doing your research, if you can get some stats out of that to say, actually, we did a survey of the market before we developed this proposition, and we found that 85% of our potential commercial clients said that this was an issue for them. And so we purposefully have made sure that we've built our operation around ensuring that this is not an issue for our clients.
Right. That's really good. That's great.
Because it adds more credibility. And people go, wow, you've done a survey, you've looked at it, you really do care about this, and your stuff, you're the expert.
Actually, one of the things that we tend to do when we're doing B2B lead gen, we do also like LinkedIn outreach and automation around that, is we do this thing called the deep dive. And you really dive into the customer avatar's brain. We do a full interview, and you get all these pain points. And then basically that's the fuel for your marketing message.
Absolutely. And
then you put that message in front of as many of your target clients as possible with that message, and then a percentage of them will go, oh yeah, actually I can use your service. And then you can do that. This insight and data will basically fuel your marketing positioning for the foreseeable future. And
of course, the next bit is you've got to then be able to deliver on what you say makes you different, which is exactly what in the future series of these webinars we'll be looking at, because it's, as we've mentioned several times this evening, it's not just about the attraction, it's about the delivering. And it's business is simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah, and testimonials. I would like to add to that, testimonials on your website, because I think Sarah's question was about the website as well.
Yes, yeah.
You know, testimonials and social proof.
Yes,
If
yes.
you can go out to all your customers, give them a present or a freebie, or just be nice to them and ask them if they'll do a video testimonial. Get them on a Zoom call. Doesn't have to be professionally done. And just say something like, what were they before working with you? And what is the transformation after working with you? I mean, transformation meaning you've taken them from A to B. Before, they didn't know who to contact. They had a job to be done. B, the job was perfectly managed, amazing experience, on time, on budget, blah, blah, blah. And would they recommend you to anywhere else? And if you do that as part and parcel of your marketing, it's another thing that you do day to day, you're going to collect, a portfolio of testimonials. When people come to your website, boom, it's like, am I going to go with the business that has 50 testimonials on how happy their clients are, or I'm going to go with the business that has a shitty website and 0 testimonials?
Of course, of course.
So
we probably need to start wrapping it up fairly soon, Francis.
yeah,
If anybody,
okay, so,
I'll let you carry on through this slide, but please keep the questions coming because this is great, but we will be wrapping it up in probably the next 5-10 minutes.
absolutely, even less. It's been a long one, longer than expected. I do tend to ramble, but it's a lot of content and just want to give value.
Yeah.
So number 1, complacency traps you and leads are not the problem most of the time. Remember, it's a deeper deeper problem or challenge that marketing is looking to solve. Number 2, comprehensive marketing is key, right? It's look at a diversified portfolio over different channels. Doesn't mean you can't have a preference or prioritize something, your website, PPC, but there's really a few components that work together in harmony over the long term to position your business as the first choice in your local market. And marketing is an amplifier. I won't be as crude as I was before, but it is an amplifier of what is and what is not working in your business. And that's why business fundamentals, getting it right, coaching with Evolve and Grow, for example, is absolutely critical. And I look forward to the next sessions, which is going to be on Thursday, the 29th of April. That's 2 weeks from today. We're going to do the same thing. And we're going to talk about lead management. I hope everyone knows what lead management is. That's basically managing sales opportunities and the power of follow-up. And in this day and age, we're going to talk about automation. So you don't have to do the follow-up. How does it work? CRMs, all of that fun stuff. We can have time for maybe 1 or 2 questions if there are, and if not, it's been a long and involved session. I feel like I've talked a lot. But,
no, it's great, really interesting. Just chatting it through with you, Francis. Yeah, we don't have any more questions in Zoom, and I've checked the Facebook groups, and we don't have any there either. But yeah, it's been a really interesting discussion, and I'm really looking forward to the next ones. Yeah,
the next one. All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you, Evolve and Grow. Thank you, Zoom.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you.
And have a great week, and we'll see you at the next session, everyone.
Fantastic. Thanks, everybody. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Stop recording and